welcome to Totally Beads Live. Surprise! I know I said I wouldn't be back with you till next week, but as I am travelling down on Friday, we've done a bit of a swap. So Kitty will be with you on Friday morning. And here I am today on this very, very chilly morning. It is so cold. It's still a little bit foggy. It was foggy yesterday, but it's freezing. So I'm going to stay in until I have to run errands this afternoon, and I'm going to be making with you today some absolutely lovely little earrings. Well, these are them. They're not that little. I'd say they're a bit of a statement earring. So I'm using some gorgeous crystals in two different sizes, 2 gauges of wire, pair of earring hooks, pair of jump rings. That's all you need. So they're very pretty, really effective. You can make these as large as you'd like. So we have put enough in your kit today to make quite a large earring. This is the one using the 7 crystals. It's not too much bigger. The ones I'm wearing have got the 5 larger crystals in them, and you can make them smaller again if you want to, but I would suggest that you use odd numbers. I think they just look nicer and they hang nicer. So if you wanted, you can make them smaller and you could pop 3 in there, and then you're going to get a little bit more out of your kit. So how are you all doing today? What have you been up to? Is it as cold where you are as I am here? Let me say a quick hello to you all. So we've got Carolyn, Jackie's here, Camille is in, Annette is in. David says the sunshine and dark clouds. Busy with packing, have been making fancy necklaces, as you may have seen. So I hope you're well in Frinton, David. Good morning to Debbie. Good morning to Pauline. She says, hello, Natalie and everyone. Lovely to see you back, Natalie. It's lovely to be back. Surprised myself. Elaine says, good morning, everyone. Natalie and everyone. So good morning to you. So I'm going to take you over to the website. I'm going to show you the 4 colour choices that we've got today. They're very, very pretty and they're very simple to do as well. So we've got 4 different colours of the crystals, 2 different colourways. So you can put them on the light gold or you can pop them on the silver, whichever, which one you choose. Oh, sorry, Teresa, she says, shh, at work. Hello to Angela. She says, good morning, Natalie. I can't stay too long as I need to walk the dog. And then she's having a 4th jab. So I hope everything goes well. I also would suggest that you wrap up warm, Angela. Maybe if you've got a little coat for your dog, put that on as well. Good morning to Sharon. Hello to Joy. Good morning to Mina. And David is saying hello to Lucy. I've not seen Lucy. Are you in yet, Lucy? I hope you're here. I hope you're well. So over we go to the website. We are on totallybeads.co.uk. And today we are doing our gorgeous crystal earrings. So you can get into the video tutorials in various different ways. You can click on the logo here, you can scroll down the page here, or you can go into categories just there and then click video tutorials, whichever way you prefer to find it. So today is the crystal earrings. So perfect for party season. I think I love this amethyst colour. It's very festive. It's not red, it is amethyst, but it's very pretty. So each of our kit today are £4.50, and they're going to make up 1 pair of earrings, or you can get 2 of them for £8. So we've got the amethyst, the champagne, the electric blue. We've got this gorgeous peridot as well. So in we go. Let's have a little look which is in what kit. So you're going to get exactly the same materials in each of your kits today for £4.50, but obviously you've got those different wire and colour of findings, and you've also got your different crystals. So these are the amethyst. You're getting 2 sizes of your Crystal Rondelle beads. You're getting your 6x8s and you're getting your 3x4s as well. You're getting 2 gauges of wire. We're going to use the 0.8 to create the main frame of the earring, and to wrap on our beautiful little 3x4mm crystals, we're going to use that 0.4mm wire as well. You're getting your ear wire, of course, and you're getting a jump ring. You could even make these as pendants if you wanted to. You wouldn't have to add the ear wire. You could just keep it as the jump ring. Yeah, I think they'd look quite pretty as pendants. So these are your amethyst ones. If you want to have a look exactly what the crystals are, have a little scroll down to the bottom and you can see them just there, very, very pretty, the 6x8s and the 3x4s. So they're the same colour of your crystals, just in different sizes. But if you're getting those 2 kits, you might want to mix them up. I think the amethyst would look particularly beautiful with this gorgeous champagne one. I'm loving the electric blue as well. I'm loving them all. Always do. That's why I put them together. So this is your champagne. Again, you're getting 2 sizes of your crystals, different wire gauges, your ear wires and your jump rings for only £4.50 today. They make a very beautiful large statement earring, but as I say, you can make them smaller if you want to. I would just use odd numbers of those larger crystals. So your 6x8, I would do them with maybe 3, definitely 5, maybe even 7. There's enough in there to make the larger one for you. So they are on the light gold wire and your gorgeous findings for you today. And then in the silver wire and silver findings, we've got this beautiful electric blue. I absolutely love the colour of those crystals. They're just gorgeous. They're quite frosty, but they've got obviously that beautiful kind of rainbow finish with them. So there's little bits of purpley sparkle in there. It's absolutely gorgeous. So they are your electric blue and they are £4.50. Or you can get 2 kits for £8. You can mix and match your colours, or you can get 2 of the same, entirely up to you. Or you can even get multiple multi-buys if that's something that you'd like to do as well. And these are your peridot. Now they're really light to wear, so even if you're wearing the larger kind of hoop D-ring with more of the crystals in, I have forgotten that I'm wearing these because they are so very light and they are very pretty and they hang lovely. So these are your peridot. Again, £4.50 today for your kits. You're getting 2 sizes of your Crystal Rondelle beads, your 6x8s and your 3x4s in the same colour. You're getting the same colour wire in 2 different gauges, your 0.4 and your 0.8, your ear wires and your jump rings, and that's all you need to make these very pretty earrings. So, which of the 4 colours do you like the best? Are we missing a trick? Should I put a different colourway together? I think these are pretty much something for everybody. You've got your blues, you've got your champagnes, you've got your kind of pinky red amethysts in there, which is also, they're like wine colour to me. I think they're beautiful. And you've got your gorgeous green with your peridot there as well. So they are your colour choices today. Let me see what I've missed. Good morning to Joy and Mina. And Mina has shared the link for you today. So thank you so much for that, Mina. We are totallybeads.co.uk/Facebook tutorials/Crystal Rondelle earrings. Thank you, my lovely. Caroline is in. She says, good morning, Natalie and our Beading family. Great to manage to catch you live. Well, it's lovely to have you here. Don't forget, if you can't watch us live, you can always watch us back. You can find those video tutorials there all the time, and we're on YouTube as well. Good morning to Anne. She says good morning to everybody. David says he's just had to log into YouTube because Facebook froze. I hope I'm okay for everyone. Sometimes things are just a little bit glitchy. Lucy's got an appointment today, so I'm hoping she's okay, and all is well with her appointments. Mina's going to be on the case today, so she's kindly sharing the links for you and things like that. Thank you, Mina. Sue says she's doing a Christmas coffee morning, just having a sneaky peek. Put us on in the background, Sue. We'll all have a wave. Hello, everybody at the coffee morning. I hope you're all feeling festive. David says he's also working on his new website called Crystal, is that right? Yeah, Crystal with a Q Craft Studio, and a blog as well. How lovely. Camille's wondering where Lucy is. Apparently she's got an appointment. Nicole is in. Hello, my love. She says, hi, Natalie and fellow beaders. Kim is in as well. David saying hello to Mina. Camille says she's okay on Facebook at the minute, so I think it may have just been you, David, but hopefully it's not contagious and it doesn't go a little bit crazy for everybody. And good morning to Margaret. She says, good morning all, managed to catch you live. So I've got lots of you in today, which is lovely. I'm so cold. I'm hoping my hands warm up. Let me take you down on the mat and show you these absolute beauties. So this is the electric blue. It is Just stunning. Look at the sparkle in them. Morning, Sheila. They're just absolutely gorgeous. I love them so much. Mina, don't you worry, we will be fine, but thank you so much for your help. Look at them. Look at the blues. I don't know if you can also see there's little bits of purples twinkling on there. They're just gorgeous. The most blingy, sparkly crystal earrings and really straightforward to do. These are your peridot. Again, absolutely gorgeous. So I suppose they look kind of quite floral in the way that we've created these little loops around the edges. So we'll be doing that today. I suppose you could say they look a little bit like petals. Mina's liking the peridot one. This is the champagne, and I love this. I'm probably going to be demoing with this one today. It's gorgeous. It is champagne. To me, it's got like the tiniest hint of kind of peachy pink with it. Look how they sparkle. They are the most gorgeous faceted beads. Love them. Hi, Inti Cab. I hope you're well. And then we've got these amethyst ones as well. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of them out and I'm going to show you. This is the amethyst I've made using 5. This is the same using 7. So you can see there is a little bit of difference in size. If you think these are a bit too large for me, I don't like them too big, then you can downsize them, no problem. If you think I love a big statement earring, use this size. And tell you what, I'll bring myself back up and I will put odd sizes in my ears so you can see just kind of the difference in how they sit. There's not much difference in them. So this is the larger and this is the smaller. I wouldn't do one of each. I'd definitely do a pair matching, but you can see they are lovely. They hang really nice and they're really comfortable to wear as well. Camille says, like the blue and the champagne ones, they look gorgeous mixed together too. You could use your 6x8s in one colour and then you could do your 3x4s in another if you wanted to get that double pair. So let's get down and going. They are really, really straightforward to do. So as I say, I'm going to use 2 different gauges of wire. Now to create this frame, Sheila says she prefers the smaller one. Well, I kind of thought if we make them larger with the 7, then you've got the option then. So you're going to have enough crystals to make this size and enough wire to make this size. And if you wanted to make them smaller, then you can do. You might even have some left over then to just kind of make one little one instead, but obviously you're only going to get the ear wires and your findings for one. Nicole says, wow, I love the sparkle. The champagne is beautiful as well as the amethyst, and she likes the larger size. So there is something for everybody you can choose here. So in terms of how we're making this frame, we're going to be using the 0.8mm wire, and I'm going to cut about 15 centimeters per earring. So you're going to need about 30 centimeters for a pair. You probably won't need that much, but that's what I'm going to use just to make sure we've got more than enough. Then to wrap on the smaller crystals, my 3x4s, I'm going to use the 0.4mm wire, and I'm going to use about 25 centimeters of that weaving wire, that smaller gauge. So again, you're going to need to double that up for a pair of earrings. You're going to need about 50 centimeters of that in total. Margaret says it would look nice as a pendant on the 7. I agree. So you could have one pendant and your earrings as well to match if you wanted to get your double kits. So let's get going. I've cut 15 centimeters of my 0.8 wire, and I'm going to give that a little bit of a straighten out. Now I'm going to start off by making a loop on one end If you want to, you can do wrapped loops with this. If you don't want to, you can just turn a loop as normal. Now I'm going to use my bail step pliers for this. If you haven't got them, you can use your round nose pliers, that's no problem. The only reason I'm going to use the bail step pliers is I want to make sure that my loops at the top of my earrings on both sides and both pairs are the same and matching. So I'm going to take my wire and just leaving a little bit at the top. I'm going to bend that over my step looper, and then I'm going to pick the smallest one on that. So I'm going to turn my hand, turn my pliers, and then I'm just going to bring that wire all the way round, then reposition my hand again and bring that right across. Now you can do this with your tools or you can do it with your fingers. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to use my fingers at the moment, and I'm just going to make sure that's nice and snug and that my loop is sitting nicely on the top of the wire. And then when I do the next one, I'm going to use exactly the same, so I've got the same size. So as I say, if you wanted to make that bend a little bit further down your wire, you can create a wrap loop with that by just wrapping this little tail end round, a bit like a scarf. If you don't want to do wrap loops, then all you need to do at this point is come in with your cutters and give that a little trim. And then just flatten that loop down. So I've created a nice little loop at the top of my wire. Now I'm going to get my 0.4 wire. And as I say, I'm going to cut about 25 centimeters of this. So I'm just going to lay it against my ruler quickly and give that a little trim. And then I'm going to take the wire that I've just trimmed to size, so my 0.4, and I'm going to just wrap this around just underneath that little loop. So I'm going to take a little tail end of my wire and I'm just going to bend that round just here. And then with the longer end, I'm going to wrap round 3 times just to secure that on. Now with my cutters, I'm going to come in and trim off that small little tail end. And then with a pair of pliers, I'm just going to tuck that down and make sure there's no little spiky bits and that's sitting nice and flush. So I've got my 0.8 millimeter wire at 15 centimeters with a little loop on one side, and I've now managed to attach about 25 centimeters of my 0.4 wire. And now I can start to make my earring by adding on my gorgeous crystals. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my larger size crystal, which is the 6x8, and I'm just going to thread that on to the 0.8 millimeter wire. I'm then going to pick up 5 of my smaller crystals, so my 3x4s, and I'm going to add on 5 of those crystals onto my 0.4 millimeter wire. So sliding them on all together. And then I'm going to push this crystal up to where that loop is. And I'm going to bring my crystals, my smaller crystals, around the top of the larger crystal. And I'm just going to hold it with my finger in position so they sit fairly flush around that larger crystal. And then I'm going to wrap my wire 2 or 3 times around that crystal. Now you could make a lovely bracelet using this technique, and you could alternate what side you're putting these little wraps on. So you could create like a little floral pattern. I might do a live on something similar soon. But because we're making earrings, eventually I'm going to bend this. So I want all my crystals to be sitting on the same side, so the top, so to speak, of my wire if I'm holding it this way. And that way, when I bend it into shape, I'm going to have them sitting on the outside. And that is all I'm going to do to repeat. So if I'm adding on 5 crystals, I just keep going with that. If I'm adding on the 7, I'll just add on the 7. So the larger crystal sits on the larger gauge of wire, which is the 0.8. And I work out that 5 of the smaller crystals will fit around that larger one nicely. And the smaller crystals go on the smaller gauge of wire, which is the 0.4. So adding on those 5. Now this time I'm going to drop my crystal down so that smaller crystal sit next to that loop here. So they're going to sit fairly flush. I can give it a little squish with my thumb and my finger just to make sure those crystals are sitting fairly neatly next to each other. I'm going to make sure that there's no major gap around my wire, so it's sitting fairly flush. So I've just got these little crystals sitting over the larger one. And then I'm just going to keep adding them on as I go. So I don't tend to add all of my crystals, my larger ones, on first, just because they will probably slide off the bottom of my wire unless I bend it. I just find it easier to just do one at a time. So picking up the smaller crystals. Getting my next beads into position. Just bending that wire around. Before I wrap it, I'm just going to look at it by eye and check it's sitting quite nicely. Tend to hold it in between my fingers. And I'm just wrapping that wire 3 times around that main base. So if I was using 7 of the larger crystals, I would need 35 of the smaller crystals going around on each earring. If you want to make it smaller, then you can just add less as you go. So that's how easy it is to start creating this. Minimal materials for a very pretty look. And as I say, I think they'd be gorgeous for the party season. If you're dancing under a disco ball or next to the twinkling lights on a Christmas tree, these are going to catch the light beautifully. So I'm just arching that wire around. I give a little bit of a push between my thumb and my finger on those 2 crystals, so there's enough space for both of them to sit nicely. When I'm happy with my position, I hold on to the others and I just wrap round 3 times. So my wire is still sticking up each time I wrap that round. On with the next and add more of my crystals. So 5 of the smaller. I think it would look nice if you mixed up these colours, but I do like the fact that they're the same in both sizes. So if you can see here, that crystal's now starting to sit a little bit at the top. If that happens, I'm just going to give it a little reposition so it's sitting next to the one next to it, if that makes sense. Then I'm creating a little curve in that wire so it's enough to fit around the large crystal. And I'm wrapping round 3 times. Just give it all a little bit of a push as you go. If it needs to move along that base wire, it can do. We've got plenty of room. So I don't think you'll probably need a full 15 centimetres, but I do cut that length just to make sure I've got plenty of space if these need readjusting. So drop me a comment if you've got any questions, or if you've got any tips, or if you have a suggestion, or want to tell me what it is that you've been making. So those 5 crystals are sitting on the 0.4 wire. I'm just going to slide this larger one down slightly just to make sure that I can fit this one, which is at the bottom, snugly on that wire, curving it round. Happy with the position, so I'm putting my finger underneath and my thumb on the top just to hold it in place, and I'm going to wrap 3 times, bringing that wire back up. So I've just got 1 crystal left to add of the larger size. Just so twinkly and pretty. Hello Ruth, she says internet restored just in time. Good morning. Hello my love. Mina says please press the like or the love button. Thank you Mina, that's much appreciated. Camille says it's quiet here today. I think so too. Well, we can see who the chatterboxes are, can't we? We're missing our Lucy today, so maybe that's why. Mina says, I know this needs concentration. I hope you're okay, Mummy Camille. And Margaret says, what length did you cut the thinner wire, please? Missed what you said. So the larger gauge wire, which is the 0.8, I've cut to about 15 centimetres, but that will be probably more than you need. And for this wire, which is the thinner gauge, which I'm adding the smaller crystals onto, which is the 0.4, I've cut to 25 centimetres. That is per earring, so obviously double up to make your pair. You'll need 25 centimetres of the smaller gauge, so 50 centimetres in total. And if you're using this larger gauge one, you're going to need 15 centimetres of that, so 30 centimetres for a pair. So I hope that helps. Mina is being responded to. Camille says she is well, and Margaret has been answered by Mina, and she's also just popped those measurements in. So you can play about. I've made sure that you've got enough in your kit to have plenty for the larger size earring. Obviously, if you're making the smaller ones, you're not going to need as much. So again, last one going on. So I'm just going to drop that crystal at the bottom. So the first one I threaded on, I'm just going to try and position that gently with my fingers so it's sitting fairly flush next to the one that's finished that loop. Hold it a bit closer so you can see. These may not have been the best colour crystals to use because they're just so shiny, so I hope you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to then bring that around into a little C shape. If they fall off, that's no problem. Just going to slide them back on. I'm going to bring that around. So I don't want a big gap around that bead. I want it to sit fairly flush. So there's just enough space to create those lovely little petals. And then I'm going to wrap that around. Now I can cut this tail end off if I want to, and then when I bring it up, they're just going to sit like this next to each other. However, if I want to, I can use that tail end to wrap around both ends of the wire here to join them together if I wish. So if you want them to sit separately, you can trim it off. Now, if you want it to sit close and bind those two together, you can use that little bit of tail end and wrap around both of those. I don't think it needs it, so I've wrapped around 3 times. I'm going to come in with my cutters and trim off the tail that we've got left. I'm going to come in with a pair of pliers and just stick down that little tail end close to that main frame wire. So we should have something that looks like this. It's the same on both sides. Now I'm going to create another little loop at the top. I'm not going to need all of this length. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my bail step making pliers again. I'm going to pop a little bend just above where we've created that little coil. I'm then going to reposition my pliers. So I'm going to use the smallest step on my looper. Again, you can use round nose pliers for this, that's no problem. I would just make a little visual note or even maybe a little mark on my pliers so I know I'm going to turn those loops and they'll be at the same side. I'm then going to reposition my plier again so I can bring this one all the way around. Now again, if you're making a wrapped loop at this point, you can bring that tail end round 2 or 3 times. You've got enough space between there. If you're not doing a wrapped loop, I'm just going to come in and trim, and I'm going to trim just where those 2 wires cross over. And that way, when I flatten that down, I've got a nice loop, and it should be the same size on both ends. David says, I'm quiet as I'm also concentrating on 2 things at once, packing for removal, but he's taking a break. See, and they say men can't multitask, David. You're just proving that you can. Mina is saying she's okay. She's feeling a little bit tired today. Joanne says, morning all, this looks lovely. So if you would like to make some wire earrings, this is the perfect kit for you. It's a really easy make. They're very quick to do. You can see I'm already nearly finished and we're only halfway through time. Obviously, I've only made the one. Our kits today are £4.50, or you can get 2 kits for just £8. So we've got a lovely little discount for you there. Right, I'm going to start to bend the shape of my earring now. So I'm going to start turning it in. I've used an odd number of beads, which means I've got one which will sit central. So again, if you're making these smaller, stick to the odd numbers. So either 3, maybe 5 is a good one. Or in this case, you've got 7. So where my middle bead is, so where my 4th bead is, I'm just going to hold the other 2 either side. And I'm going to start to shape into a little curve. Now, if you want to, you can do both of your kind of strands for your earrings at the same time, and you can bend them when you get to this stage at the same time, just to make sure you're getting that kind of symmetrical look. Now you can see my loops are sitting inwards at the moment and I need them to face out. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with my pliers and I'm going to give it a little twist. And again on the other side, a little twist. So my loops have gone from facing me to looking at each other. I'm then going to give a little bit of a bend. So I'm twisting them to the side and flicking them up. So they're kind of pointing outwards a little bit at the moment. When I bend these around in the shape that I'm after, those loops are then going to start to sit together. So as I say, you had that little bit of a tail end, excuse me, of your 0.4 wire left. You could wrap that around both if you want to join them together. But I would just play about with them and make sure I'm happy with the shape that I've got. I think they're looking very pretty. Excuse me, let me have a little sip of my drink. I'd say a coffee to warm me up, but it's gone cold now. Now I'm going to take my jump ring. So I've got a 6mm jump ring, and I'm going to open up my jump ring between 2 pairs of pliers. So I'm going to hold as much surface area as I can. So I've got lots of grip on that, giving it a little twist towards myself. So I've opened that jump ring up, and then I'm just going to slide that jump ring through both of those loops that we've created at the top of our e-ring. And now you can add your e-ring hook onto it, or you can close your jump ring over. So again, taking as much surface area as I can, just going to go back in the opposite direction, slightly past the point where it closes. So when I let go, it will spring back lovely and closed. So that is my e-ring. All I've got to do now is attach my e-ring hook onto it. So I'm going to get a hold of my e-ring hook. I'm going to open it up, give it a little flick, and attach that on. And the way I have positioned my hooks, so to speak, so those little loops at the top of my e-ring to attach to my jump ring, will mean that when I wear this e-ring, it's going to sit forward like this when it's in my ear. If I want them to sit to the side, I can just give my little twist on to my e-ring hook, or I can attach my e-ring hook directly onto those loops instead. So at the moment, if I wanted it sitting forward, and I quite like them sitting forward so you can see that lovely shape, I'm attaching them onto that jump ring. What I will do is I will show you how they look if I was just to attach them directly onto the e-ring hook without that jump ring, and that should change the direction in which it sits. So I will open that jump ring up again. I'll open my e-ring by just giving it a little turn, and then I will slide both of those through and close that over. So if you want it sitting to the side, you don't need the jump ring. But I like them facing forward, so I do attach my jump ring on. And if you're opening and closing your jump rings properly, you should be able to open them multiple times, because you're not going to be putting too much of, too much pressure. So I'm going to slide that back on and give that a little close. And there you have your beautiful e-ring, and all you need to do is repeat that process. So again, we're using 2 sizes of crystals. We're using our 3x4s to create these lovely little petal shapes kind of around the outside of the larger crystals, which are the 6x8s. Your crystals are in the same colour, and they're just looking gorgeous and sparkly, whichever ones you choose. I'm only going to need 25 centimetres per e-ring of the 0.4mm wire, and only 15 centimetres per e-ring for the 0.8, which is what we create our main shape with. You can use your round nose pliers or your bail step pliers to make those little loops. You're going to need a pair of cutters, pliers, like flat nose pliers, just to open up your jump ring and your e-ring hook, and that is all you need. If you want to add an extra tool, I would say a trusty nylon coated pliers, just to straighten that wire up at the beginning. So really simple, straightforward, gorgeous little makes. As I say, if you want to make them smaller, then use the 5 crystals. They still sit really prettily. Prettily? Is prettily a word? It is today. They sit really pretty. Always, I would suggest use odd numbers of those larger size of crystals. I think odd numbers just look more aesthetically pleasing, but when you start to bend and create that shape with your wire, you've got that then sitting as a focal middle point. So these are your colour choices today. We've got the gorgeous electric blue, which couldn't be any more sparkly. I just love them. But my camera can't even focus. It's like, what's going on with all the sparkle? They're very pretty, very, very Christmassy, I think. I mean, they're gorgeous all year round. I always say it, but I do think they just look like twinkling ice. Whereas these amethyst ones remind me a little bit of mulled wine. Your peridot is bringing your Christmas tree, and the champagne I don't know, they're just gorgeous. So that's me being a little bit daft. Let me have a little look in the comments what I have missed. So Mina shared the link again. Thank you, Mina. totallybeads.co.uk/Facebook tutorials. I'm going the wrong way, aren't I? This way. Crystal Rondelle earrings. That is the link for today to take you over to the website, so you can see our beautiful earring kits today are only £4.50 or 2 for £8. Amina says I might get the peridot and the champagne as they are so reasonable priced. I think, let me pop you down on the mat and let's have a little look at what colours would go gorgeous together. So I'm not going to get all my crystals out my bag. I'm just going to pop them together. I do like them all in one colour, but if you did want to mix them up, that is also an option. They look gorgeous together. Ooh. So what you could do is, if you get 2 pairs for £8, you could mix your smaller crystals. So you could alternate the colour of the smaller crystals that run round, or you could do your central larger crystals in one and all the same colour of the other. Entirely up to you, but they are very, very, very pretty, I think. Anyway, I hope you like them. Margaret said, splendid, must run, thanks. You are welcome. Camille says, if you have time, can you do a third one, please, and thanks. A 3-1. We've got time, haven't we? Go on, Camille, because you've asked so nicely. So let's have a little look what it would look like with 3. So I've got my wire here. I'm obviously not going to need that size. I'm going to not do a wrap loop, but you can do if you want to. Just going to turn that round. So I'm turning round my round nose pliers so I can create that little loop. I want it sitting on the top so it looks more like, oh, let's put the camera in the position it needs to be. Sorry. So all I've done then is I've just turned that little loop. So I popped it in the smallest. I brought that right the way round. So what I want to do is I want this loop to sit on top, not to the side, so it's nice and straight. I'm going to come in with my cutters where those wires cross over. I'm going to trim that off and just make sure that if I was to press that down, that would make a full loop. I'm then going to take my 0.4mm wire. Again, I'm not going to need 25 centimeters of this now because I'm only going to add a smaller amount on. So I'm going to take my smaller gauge wire. I'm going to bend that round the top just to give me something to hold on to. Wire wrap the longer length 3 times. So I'm creating little coils, so each of my wire wraps are sitting next to the other one. They're not crossing over each other. They're just sitting nice and flush. Penny says, these are super pretty. I'm glad you like them. They're just easy to do, aren't they? I'm going to come in with my cutters again and trim that little end off. Methinks I need new cutters. Can I show you an example? You know, when I say to you about using your cutters for appropriate things, so like don't be using them to cut your like memory wire. And really, I always open up strings and things with them, which I really shouldn't do. Can you see how perforated the edges have gone? So I'm showing you the flat nose side, the flat flush side of them. Can you see all those little bumps? Now you can get a tool to sharpen them. They are a really old pair of pliers, but you can see why sometimes I'm struggling to cut with them. So I might pick myself a new pair up this weekend when I go to the warehouse. So I'm just tucking that little end in, making sure nothing's going to catch, nothing's going to scratch, and it's going to sit nicely at the top of that loop. Yeah, Mina's made a really good point. She says, please bear in mind that Royal Mail is on strike today and tomorrow, so delivery will be a bit slow. are very good to remind us all of that, Mina. I have had things sent that I sent a week or two ago now, which still haven't arrived. And yet I have sent stuff to the USA much later, and that has arrived. So yeah, we've got a real delay at the moment with post, but do bear with us, it will get to you, and you'll have your goodies ASAP. But at the same time, if there's something that you're waiting on that you want before Christmas, then I wouldn't delay in getting that ordered, because, you know, we want to make sure it's out as soon as possible. So I've added on my larger size crystal. Camille is asking for me to do one with 3 this time. So we're going to see what that looks like. We've seen the 5, we've seen the 7. This is the 3 beads of the larger crystals. I'm still going to add 5 of the smaller ones on, because I think that fits nicely around those larger crystals. So I'm just going to get it in position at the moment. I want that crystal, if I can, to be sitting more flush onto the wire. Let's move this out the way so you got a bit more focus. So I'm just going to hold it. So I think, yeah, that's looking pretty nice. When I'm happy, I'm holding on to it with my fingers so they don't move around. And I'm just going to coil that round 3 times, bring that wire sitting back up. I'm then going to add on my next bead. And then, where's those small crystals gone? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of my smaller ones. Could have done this with a mix of the crystals, couldn't I? I'm not changing it now. Okay, I'm then going to make sure that this crystal that is first strung on is sitting next to this one. So I give it a little bit of a push with my fingers just to make sure that they're lined up okay. Bringing that wire around into like a little C shape. I'm holding it this way just to let gravity kind of drop those crystals into place. Let's get into shot so you can see what I mean. Holding it with my thumb and my finger, not too tightly, but just to prevent them moving around, bringing that wire back up. And then I'm going to add the next one on. So obviously I didn't need this length of wire because we're only adding 3 at the moment of the larger crystals. And we'll see what that looks like. They may sit a little bit closer together. So I think you're all chatting now about, oh yeah, Camille, I seen your post. She said she was so disappointed with myself, really. A card I sent overseas has not got returned. £1.85 stamp and the address label fell off. If I send anything overseas, I always go to the post office. And then I've got that tracking and I can't, you know, I can't be blamed, but yeah, it's just so frustrating, isn't it? Or if it says, oh, you've not put enough postage on it. Right, so I've got my 3 crystals surrounded by 5, so 15 of my other gorgeous smaller ones. I've wrapped that round 3 times. I'm going to then cut that wire off. I might actually leave that on and just show you how you can attach that on the top if you want to. I'm going to come in again with my round nose pliers or my bail step pliers. I'm going to pop a little bend to about 90 degrees into that wire before I reposition my hand. So the loop that I want to sit in now at the top, that wire is going to come all the way around, reposition my hand again so I can get it underneath. Come in with the cutters, give it a little trim. I can, if I want to, reposition that loop with my round nose pliers if I don't quite feel it's sitting fully at the top. And now I'm going to start to bend this in. So I'm holding on to the two either side of that central bead, and I'm going to bring that round. But I want it to come round fairly evenly. I want those bits to sit neatly at the top together. I'm going to turn my loops so they're facing away from me, and then I'm going to put a little bend in them, so when I bring that together I can sit them neatly. I have got one slightly higher up than the other there, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my looper in both of them just to make that neat. Now if you want to, you can give them a little bit of a pinch together, and with that wire you could also wrap round to bind them together should you want to. Again, I'm just going to put my round nose or my looper back through both of those loops just to make sure that they're sitting evenly. If I am going to bind it with that wire, which I do think looks quite pretty, I'm going to make sure that when I cut it off, I'm going to tuck it in so it doesn't catch. So I want that sitting nice and flush. And again, I'm just going to have a little play about, reposition it if I need to, and make sure that's sitting nice. That's quite cute. I like it with the 3 as well. I just want to make sure that that bead at the bottom is sitting centrally. And then in with my jump ring. Hello, Lucy. I hope it all went well for you. I'm now going to slide back through my jump ring, close over my jump ring, take my e-ring hook and attach that on too. So I've got one with 3, I've got one with 5, and I've got one with 7. So you can make these as large or as small as you like. There is enough in your kit today to make the largest size with the 7 large crystals. Obviously you're making a pair. They are £4.50 per kit or 2 for £8. So if you wanted to make the smaller one, you're probably going to get more out of your kit, but bear in mind each kit is only going to come with a pair of ear wires and your jump rings to make one pair of earrings. So it's up to you how you want to scale them up or make them smaller. I actually really like the 3, Camille. I think that looks really pretty. And again, they would also make really lovely pendants. So you could have one as a pendant and you could have your earrings as well. Lucy says, oh, wow, that looks pretty. I'll have to watch it back. Please do. You can always find us on Facebook and YouTube and always in the video tutorial section. Camille says it looks like a heart. Lovely. Match with a bigger one for the pendant. A very lovely set. Yeah, so you could have 2 of the smaller ones for your earrings and then make a little pendant. And again, you can mix those colours up. Please don't forget we've got that gorgeous peridot one as well. I was just showing you in terms of size there. Lucy says she's good. She thought it was Kitty today, though. Thought I'd just surprise you. We've done a swap, and Joanne says the 3 is very cute. So they are our gorgeous crystal earrings today. I'm going to put them back in because I just want you to see how gorgeous they are and how comfortably they sit. An absolute bargain. So I say we've done a little bit of a swap today. So Kitty is going to be back with you on Friday. I want to say she's making a bracelet, but don't quote me because I'm not too sure. She might not be. Look at them. They're so lovely. I will be back with you on Monday. I'm going to be making some gorgeous Christmas candy cane decorations, and they will be done down at Kitty's house. So you get to see me faffing about with her computer setup, so be patient with me on Monday. And then I will be back with you Friday, and I'll be making some gorgeous little Christmas tree decorations or Christmas tree hangers. So they're going to be Christmas trees that you can put on your Christmas tree, or you can hang in your window, or you can do whatever you want with them. They are very, very pretty. So please come and join me next week. I hope you all have a lovely weekend. If you are down in Clacton, or like David, you're near Frinton, do come and say hello to us. We've got an open day at the warehouse on Saturday. I think it's 10 till 3. So if you can make it, come and say hello. If not, I'll see you back here next week. Take care, everyone.